Hey, what's up, goats? This is Ryan. I just was calling with that week 3 matchup of the week. The season is getting kind of crazy. This week there was a few different options for matchup of the week. There wasn't any both undefeated teams playing against each other. And I looked at my matchup versus Andrew, but I saw another one that was a little more interesting to me, and that was Gary versus Baxter. This is a game between the number 4 seed Baxter and number 9 seed Gary. So that doesn't sound that interesting, but when you think about it, both teams have won one game, so they both have 2 wins because when they won, they beat the median score. But this is a game between the GOAT Dynasty 14 champion Gary and the GOAT Dynasty 15 champion Baxter. So right there, that's pretty cool. So going back, Gary won his championship in the GOAT Dynasty 14 as a rookie, so that was pretty cool. I think only like one other rookie had won. No, two. I'm sorry, two had won before that. So that was pretty cool out of 14 years. So pretty interesting for him to do that. That year he had a great year. Okay, he went into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, and he beat the number 5 seed Will, and then the number 6 seed Mike. For the championship, and the final score there was 198-46 to 149-18. Baxter did not make the playoffs that year, but the GOAT Dynasty 14 was an epic season for Gary. He lost the first game to Kevin, but then he had 4 wins in a row, including beating Baxter in week 2, and then he lost to me in week 6 that year, but then he finished the year with 7 wins in a row. Then if you count the 2 wins in the playoffs, that's 9 wins in a row to win his championship. Even more impressive that he did it with, like I said, being a rookie. That year, he had a great team. He had Lamar Jackson, Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, and Miles Sanders. And for that championship game, some of his stars went off. CMC had 37.8 points in that championship game. Lamar had 41 and some change. And Miles Sanders had about 30 points that championship game. So all helped him win his first GOAT in as many tries. Baxter, his championship season was pretty impressive. Not the storybook, not the regular season that you would want. He had a loss and a win, then a loss, then 3 wins in a row. Then he lost to Gary, who was, again, the reigning champion. Then he had 3 wins in a row, then a loss, a win against Gary. So he split games with Gary that year. Then he lost, but then he went on a tear in the playoffs. Entered the playoffs as a number 4 seed, but then he beat number 5 seed Anthony, beat number 1 seed Ryan, and in the championship met this very same Gary as the number 3 seed. And in the end, Baxter is one that won 236-54 to 120-65. Still staying with those same playoffs, I thought it was cool that Gary, in that year, he was the number 3 seed. He beat Andrew. Then he actually beat Ben, who's the number 2 seed. Because if you remember that year, Ben and I had some great teams, and so both of us were thinking that we were going to meet each other in the championship game. But both of us, the bye week players, both got eliminated that first game that we had the opportunity. So Gary and Baxter played, and then Baxter took it home. So that was pretty impressive. Baxter's team that year had Aaron Rodgers, reigning MVP, Stephon Diggs, and in that championship game, that was the game that Stephon Diggs had 3 touchdowns. So I actually won a championship on that performance as well. He had Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Gronk, Mike Evans. That championship game, Mike Evans also chipped in with 43 points. So big win for Baxter to get his first championship. Took him 8 years to win his first GOAT, but can't be more prouder to be able to do that either way. So that was really pretty great for Gary and Baxter both to win a GOAT, and then they're going against each other in week 3. Okay. Both rookie years were a little bit different. Like I said, Gary won the championship, and Baxter, coming in as a rookie, he actually got 3rd place. So that was a pretty impressive feat, especially back then, to be able to do that. So props to Gary with that. The head-to-head between the Gary and Baxter is really probably mostly in Gary's favor. He's 5-2 against Baxter, and it's really pretty cool because when Gary beats Baxter, he blows up, okay? Check out these scores. 217-25, 193-36, 192-64. And then, like I said, he usually performs pretty well against Baxter. But when Baxter plays Gary, he blows up even more. 213-25, 236-54. The 213 game was really pretty interesting because that was when Gary was having a really great year, actually, in the GOAT Dynasty 15. It wasn't his championship year, but it was still a pretty good year for Gary. Gary tried to get cute, and remember, lost to Baxter 213-25 to 87-75. Rough. Gary's starting quarterback that game was Derek Carr. Sorry, not David. Negative 1.9 points. And that same game, he had that Kendall Hinton. That was that goofy game for the Broncos where the Broncos quarterbacks were injured. So he was actually a wide receiver playing quarterback. So Gary tried to get cute and play a wide receiver that was actually playing quarterback in the game, but only ended up in a negative 3.53 points for him. So kind of backfired on Gary right there. And like I said, Baxter beat him that season later on for the GOAT for 236-54 to 120-65. So it's like when they play each other, they definitely blow up against each other. No really like close games between these two. Okay, so that was pretty interesting. Speaking of blowing up, 200-point club, Baxter's punched his ticket 11 times, which is really pretty impressive. His first time was in the GOAT Dynasty 9. He scored 239, and at the time, that was a huge, big score. Not to be outdone, though, Gary, especially behind that GD14 year, he's actually scored over 212 times. And his first time scoring over 200 was 254-68. And at the time, that was a huge deal because he actually broke the record of 250. But then later on that year, he broke his own record. He got 270-28 in week 15 of that same GOAT Dynasty 14. So just in that 1 year, he broke 200 6 times, which is, I didn't look at this up, but it's probably one of the most times that people have broken 200 in 1 year. Regular season records, Baxter's a respectable 72-60, which is good enough for a 55% winning record. Again, that's tough for being so long and having such a winning record. But again, Gary, the newer blood, 40-14 regular season record, 74% winning percentage. So he's definitely got him in that. Week 3 records, Baxter 7-3. But again, Gary trying to be a little better, 4-0 in week 3. Has never lost in week 3. The players going against each other this game, Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Can't ask for the best two quarterbacks in the league, some would say, going against each other. Primetime players, Baxter's got Muth on the Sunday night, so hopefully the Muth will get Luth. And then he's got Mike Evans Monday. Mike Evans, I think, when I think of Baxter, I always think of him having Mike Evans for some reason. It seems like he always does. Gary's done during the day on Sunday. He's only got 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games. So he'll be doing the praying job that we all have done Sunday night and Monday night. So GOAT Dynasty Week 3 matchup of the week. Gary versus Baxter. 2 champions playing against each other. Can't ask for anything better than that. Horns up, goats. Horns up, goats. Have a good one.